Okay, so we can get started with, I think this is chapter 8. So basics of graphs. So we'll start sort of with 8.1 and work our way forward. So in this lecture, we'll introduce graphs and some definitions about them. This is a picture of a graph. So these filled in circles, those are called vertices or vertex, and the lines that connect them like this, those are edges. Edges only meet at vertices. So this point, for example, that's not a vertex, right? These edges cross, but they're not part of the graph. That's just a thing about how we draw them. Sometimes you can't get rid of crossings. So the degree of a vertex is the number of edges incident in the vertex. So make sure my pen works. Degree of A equals, well, 1, 2, 3. Degree of D, for example, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how many edges come together at that point. Parallel edges, two edges between the same two vertex. We don't have any parallel edges in this graph, but if I had another edge that went from A to B like that, that would be a parallel edge. A loop, an edge connecting a vertex to itself. We saw loops when we did equivalence relations, so that would be a loop. This graph doesn't have any loops, but you can't have loops. And an isolated vertex, that would be one that's not connected to the rest. So this is an isolated vertex out there if we just have a point floating by itself. A simple graph, which is most of the graphs that we're going to be dealing with, has no loops, nothing like this, and no parallel edges, nothing like that. Okay, so a path for a graph is an alternating sequences of vertices of edges. A simple path has no repeated vertices. So a simple path, if we did a path from G to F, right? G, D, F, that's a path. We could go G, D, F, G, A, that's another path. A simple path doesn't repeat any vertices. So the formal definition of a graph is two sets. This is the formal definition of a graph. It's just a list of the vertices and a list of the edges. So V here is A, B, C, D, F, G. And E is the set of edges. So E1, E2, E3, dot, dot, dot. I think there's 13 in this graph here. So a picture of a graph like this isn't actually the formal definition of it. The definition is just this list of vertices and this list of edges, and the edges connect certain vertices, right? So E1 connects A to B, E2 connects A to E, and that's all the information there is. And so you can picture graphs in a lot of different ways. You can draw them in a lot of different ways. When you're thinking about writing algorithms to do things with graphs, this is the information that the machine sees. And so when you try to write an algorithm to pick something out about a graph, it's basically start at a point and then go along an edge, get to another vertex, and then see what happens there. Okay, so I think that is all the basics of graphs that we have. Definition of a graph, formal definition. Graph is a picture, vertices, edges, degrees, parallel edges, loops, isolated vertex. Generally not going to be dealing with these that much. Simple graphs are what we're interested in. And then paths is just going through vertex to edge to vertex to edge. Okay.